Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. Let's take a look at the field for the feature race at Arlington Park on Saturday. It's the Grade 3 Chicago Handicap. We're going 7 furlongs for fillies and mares over the polytrack. $100,000 is the purse. We have a big field, Matt, and the key to the race is your morning line favorite. That's the number 2 Union Strike at 3-1, a Keeneland grad ridden by Corey Nakatani. On her very best day, I think you can make the argument that Union Strike is the best horse in this race. But what are we going to get off of a 6-month layoff trying a new surface?
Yeah, that's really the concern for me in a spot like this. First time synthetic, coming off of such a long layoff, possibly running style as well. You don't really know what you're going to get. I agree with you talent-wise. She makes all the sense in the world in here. I just wonder, it's one thing, if she was going to run in that race that she was supposed to run in at Belmont a few weeks ago where she would have been a decent price, then I think, yeah, obviously she's a little bit more attractive. To me, in here, if she's anywhere near the morning line of 3-1, or if she goes less than that down to the 5-2 range, I don't doubt her ability and I don't doubt her credentials. From a gambling standpoint, it's a little bit light.
That's a fair point, although she is getting a gigantic amount of class relief in her most recent race, her first start in about 7 months due to a really severe injury that she suffered in the Acorn when she came out of the gate badly and really injured her foot. The LaQuinta was a tough spot off the bench. Mopatism was in razor-sharp form at that point. She came back from her win in the LaQuinta to run second in a Grade 2 with a 95 buyer, third in a Grade 1 with an 87 buyer. So she's getting class relief, and in that LaQuinta, there just wasn't a lot of pace. She was near the back of the pack. She has lots of excuses, but you bring up all the negatives with Union Strike, especially price. Maybe 7-2 is fair considering the class relief. Let's talk about the 5 Princess LaQuinta. This filly has no issues with the polytrack surface. She has won her last 4 races over this surface, but all of those races were 2-turn routes. Now, we like cutbacks at 7 furlongs, but do you think this filly is actually better going longer?
Well, so far it seems like that. I do question a little bit this turn back, because it's one thing to have a little bit of positional speed going 2 turns. Now that slight turn back in distance, I don't know what kind of trip she's going to work out. I think she's going to be mid-pack, if not farther back. It's hard to argue with a horse that just goes out and wins races time after time. And again, you brought it up. She has an affinity for the synthetic up at Arlington. But there's just a part of me that wonders, again, what should be a shortish price, considering she has one of the highest last out buyers in the field, an 88. I don't know that this shorter distance is going to be ideal for her.
That 88 looks legitimate, though, winning the Grade 3 Matron at Arlington, beating 15-time winner Daddy's Boo, who came back to earn a 90 buyer speed figure when a runner-up in her subsequent outing. Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, because our friends at Timeform US believes that this race will favor horses on or near the early lead, and the one Marquee Miss is projected to make the lead. Now, she is a sprinter. She likes Arlington. We've already checked some nice boxes. This barn actually won this race in 2016 with Sarah Sis, finished second in this race in 2014, so they point to the Chicago Handicap. And I think she's a little bit dirtied up. Excuses in her last 2 races. If you go back 3 and 4 starts at Oaklawn, those races might be good enough to win this.
You know, initially when I did a first pass through the race, she was the one that I initially gravitated toward, looking at the pace scenario, looking at her record on synthetic. She's run well here. My big concern is 7/8 of a mile. I don't know if this distance is ideal for her. You see, she's done most of her damage between 5.5 and 6 furlongs. I think if you get her out there, even with that favorable pace scenario like the pace projector would suggest, I'm going to be terrified going that final 1/8 of a mile. Is it going to be too much for her?
We see the 6 Minds and Magic up close on this pace projector. I'm a little bit concerned about the recent form for Minds and Magic. Very disappointed in her most recent race at this distance at Churchill Downs, dropping out of a couple of graded stakes. She just bombed as the favorite that day. She does have tactical speed. Her prior turf form, nothing to write home about. I think Vicky Oliver is just trying to shake things up, trying a synthetic surface.
Agreed. I think she's going to be forwardly placed. I think the pace projector has that accurate, and I'm with you. The recent form leaves something to be desired. I think she has talent. On her best day, she can run a little bit. It feels like she's been thrown to really difficult positions throughout her career. From a class standpoint, I think this race fits, but at the same time, the unknown about the surface, the unknown about where she is currently, there's just too much that I don't like.
5-1 on the morning line for the 7 Hot Shot Anna, coming off a win at Canterbury, defeating a couple of next out winners. She is now paired up by her tops of 88 in her last 2 races, and she's versatile. She's won at 6.5, she's won at a mile, she's won on dirt, she's won on turf. Let's see how she handles the synth.
Yeah, we'll find out about that. The runner-up in the most recent start was a next out winner with a 76. The sixth place finisher was a next out winner with a 73 on turf. I think she makes a lot of sense in here. Again, tactical speed, can get into a forward position, but doesn't absolutely need the lead. Distance shouldn't be a problem. Again, the question comes down to, what do you think about the synthetic?
8-1 on the morning line for the 10, Natural Wonder. The last time she set foot on a synthetic surface, it was the Tapeta at Presque Isle Downs last summer, and she won the Satin and Lace coming from well off of the pace. She needs a fast pace, and we see that Timeform US pace projector. That's got to be concerning for folks that are going to be backing Natural Wonder.
Certainly is. I think you can look at the most recent race, though, and say she's getting a little bit of class relief as well. You see that Morticia was the next out winner coming out of that race. Very similar to what we just spoke about with the filly prior. I'm terrified about the distance with this girl because I feel like most of her best runs have come at that 5, 5.5, 6 furlong range. Getting out to that 7th furlong, I know you see the pedigree, and it shouldn't be an issue, but sometimes horses don't run to their pedigree. I don't think she wants the distance.
We see the 9, Baby Blues Be Dancing on the pace projector in mid-pack, and that was not the situation at all last time out at Arlington, going 2 turns in an off-the-turf race where she just was able to walk the dog on the lead. It couldn't have gotten any easier on the front end, and at the end of the day, she really was only able to still buy her an 80. I'm not sure with a more difficult situation this time around against tougher horses, she can pull off the 12-1 upset.
That second piece you brought up is a big thing for me. You know, she did that against non-winners of 2 other than. I feel like when you test her and put her into deeper waters, I don't think she passes right now. Hard to argue with a horse that's won 7 of 19. I just don't think she's this good.
Lucky Queen, I think, is a horse that's going to appreciate cutting back in distance. Last time out, she tried Princess LaQuinta in the Grade 3 Matron, going 1 1/8 miles, and she just had nothing left the last quarter of a mile. Her race before that, going 5.5 furlongs off a long layoff, I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt for that race. It actually wasn't that bad. I think this is a nice spot for her, 3rd off the layoff for a good trainer in Ben Colebrook.
The question for me with this filly, you know, you saw some of those races that she had when she was in Clement's barn where she had a little bit of tactical ability. She showed it in that Matron most recently, but that was at 9 furlongs. Where is she positioned in this run at 7/8? Is she going to have too much to do late?
Oh So Terrible was up against it from a pace standpoint last time out in her first start off a 5.5-month layoff. Baby Blues Be Dancing, as we mentioned, got out to an easy lead. Oh So Terrible was on the chase. She tried Baby Blues Be Dancing on the turn, and then I think she felt the effects of that layoff. She can do a lot better, I think, in her second start of the form cycle, and she's going to be a big price.
Yeah, if she takes a step forward here, there's no reason to think that she can't get involved. Maybe underneath. I do question if she's fast enough to win a race like this, but at a big number, she could easily hit the board.
Miss Nancy is another long shot that I can see perhaps hitting the board underneath in single race exotics. Last time out was her first start off a little bit of a layoff, going 2 turns on the turf. There was no pace whatsoever, but she was trying hard in the lane and actually making up a little bit of late ground. I think this filly can improve a little bit, and the horse that finished second in the most recent race actually came back to finish 3rd in a graded stake, the Mint Julep on grass at Churchill, with an 87 buyer. Tough post.
I was going to say, Ryder's going to need to work out a little bit of a trip breaking from post 13 because I understand she's probably coming from off of it, but there are so many other horses drawn to the inside. It almost feels like you are just kind of ensuring yourself that you're going to be giving up a little bit of ground. Full of
Zip. This is a tough spot for Full of Zip, you would have to think, coming off a 6-month layoff, but this is a very sharp trainer in Michael Stidham that usually doesn't rush his horses into tough spots. Full of Zip's race 2 starts back showed that a 1-turn, 7-furlong mile isn't going to be a problem for her, and on her best day, she's got a little bit of tactical speed. I mean, you could just simply argue that last time out on dirt, they took a chance over that surface, and she was simply overmatched. She's lightly raced with some upside. The layoff worries me.
Layoff worries me as well, but I think, like you say, if you want to take the positive spin of it and say this is only going to be her second start as a 4-year-old, maybe there's reason to believe she improves. The distance isn't a problem. The configuration, 1 turn, not an issue, and she's run well on synth in the past. Again, at a decent number, maybe she's one to consider.
12 Starlight Express is 50-1 on the morning line. Just the current form is not good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't have much more to add.
Let's take a look at our top picks. You're going to go with the number 11, One Liz, in this race. Let's talk about One Liz's last race, going 1 1/16 miles, where she just got wired. There was no pace whatsoever. She sat second. She tried. She just couldn't get to that loose leader.
Yeah, and I don't want to entirely hold that race against her. I understand maybe it was against a little bit lesser as far as company is concerned, a bunch of Illinois breds, but at the same time, I think she's one of the more reliable horses in this entire race. Maybe she's not one that's going to be, you know, a stone cold winner all the time, but I like that she's 5 for 7 at Arlington Park, 6 times in the exacta. She also has a little bit of tactical ability, so I think there's a scenario where she works out similar to what the pace projector has. If she's second or third stalking on the outside, again, I just like her consistency. She usually shows up and runs her race. Sometimes good enough, sometimes it's not. To me, in a race like this, I just wanted a horse that I think is honest and is going to show up.
I wimped out. I don't think I'm going to be betting much, if at all, on the Grade 3 Chicago Handicap. I think Union Strike is the best horse in this race, but we've mentioned all the negatives. This is a race where I would have to spread in any kind of multis. I like the 2 Union Strike a little bit. I think Princess LaQuinta, another horse, very, very logical. Hot Shot Anna, very, very logical. Maybe if I was looking for a price, Natural Wonder from Off the Pace to get a little bit of a piece, but this race confused me. I'm rooting for you, the 11-1 Liz. I went 2-5-7-10 in the Grade 3 Chicago Handicap. The feature race at Arlington Park on Saturday, and it has an approximate post time of 5:11 Central. Best of luck.